Sue Moroney.
Mr Chair, tau e te whare, ko te wiki o te reo Māori tēnei. Nō reira kia kaha tātou. Ki te kaupapa e tēnei wā. I want to address in the estimates debate on health the issue of mental health. And I note that the Minister, when he spoke before, was very animated and in fact got a little desperate and started making some desperate accusations. But I want to address again today, it seems to be a day for this, an issue that's very close to my heart. Because the Minister announced just a few days ago a formal inspection of the mental health services at the Waikato DHB. And I want to seek an assurance from the Minister that that formal inspection will be done in the context of a health system that we now know to be $1.7 billion of less funding than what it should have had in order to keep up with the demands, both the population increases and the inflation demands on the health budget. Because even the Minister himself in question time yesterday accepted that the health budget has not kept up with inflation under this national government. And so I want to ensure that when this formal inspection happens of the mental health services at Waikato DHB, that if it is discovered that resources and funding are in fact one of the problems about why we have had problem after problem after problem in the mental health services there, that government will ensure that those issues are fixed and that they won't use this as a whitewashing exercise. Because I listened very carefully to what the Minister said when he announced the formal inspection, and he said that it was necessary because people needed to be reassured about the mental health services. And that, Mr Chair, sounds like the language of a whitewash to me. What I'm interested in is knowing that the service is a quality service and that the most vulnerable people in our community are not put in harm's way because of the underfunding of the mental health services and the health service in total that has happened under the estimates for the 2015-16 year. Mr Chair, the thing that seemed to trigger this formal inspection was the discovery of a fraudulent psychiatrist being employed by the DHB, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because I'm now quoting from a letter that has been written by Dave McPherson, who's a local councillor in our area. He happens to be the father of a young man who lost his life when he was under the authority of the mental health services in Waikato. And he has written to John Crawshaw, who is going to do this formal inspection, to ensure that he knows the full history. So not only have we had the fraudulent psychiatrist just discovered in recent days, but in 2014, Mr Paul Fox was employed as a psychiatrist at the Henry Bennett Centre. He was discovered to have had to hand back his licensing registration when he had worked in America because of inappropriate sexual relationships between him and a patient. We've had Manalau Maharaj, a psychiatrist employed by Waikato and Bay of Plenty DHBs, who was found guilty of professional misconduct by the Health Practitioners Tribunal in 2013 after having sexual relations with a patient and paying her not to inform authorities about this. We've had Jason Lutty, a psychiatrist employed by the Waikato DHB in 2012 after leaving Essex in the UK under a public cloud after the publication of offensive pictures of his own children, and the list goes on. What I'm suggesting here, Mr Chair, is that the Minister needs to make sure that this is a very thorough investigation, because there are a range of issues that happened over a series of time. This, though, is the DHB, after all, that announced the formal appointment of the current CEO just days before, in fact I think it might have even been only 24 hours before, a very damning report was published about that same person and the hospitals that he'd been managing in Canada. So I can only say that when they're doing this formal inspection of mental health services, can that inspection be more broad? Because the issue about employing people under dubious circumstances, I think, is more broad than the mental health services themselves. Mr Chair, I want to implore the formal inspection to take seriously the issues that have been raised by Dave McPherson.
Chair.